Okay, let's be real. This might not be the most exciting month, but I do think there's a lot of stuff that probably will sell out. What's up, everybody? I'm Seth Fowler, and today we're taking a look at the sneaker releases in the first half of September 2020. I tell you what I think about each one of these shoes and whether I think each one is going to sit on shelves or sell out. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you want to see more content just like this. Also, make sure to give me a follow on Instagram and on Twitter at RealSethFowler. Now, to be honest with you, the first half of the month doesn't have any crazy hyped releases. However, there are some pretty solid releases, which I'm personally very excited for. But as with all of my other sit or sell videos, I think it's important to keep in mind that sneaker release dates change all the time. Shoes which you expect to be dropping next week get pushed, or shoes that you never expected to drop, or shoes you didn't even know about have shock drops, and there's just no way to know until the second that it happens. So I would definitely suggest using this video as more of a guide than a concrete release date calendar. But with all of that out of the way, let's jump right into the video. Starting things off on September 1st, we've got the ISPA Drifter Split in two different colorways, Iron Gray and Spruce. Let's be real though, Iron Gray is black and Spruce is white. I feel like those names were kind of misleading, but it is what it is. These hiking or workwear style ISPA sneakers come in a mid-top or I guess high-top variant. They feature a textile upper with a standard lacing system. However, they do have straps that run up the side of the sneaker, which look like they could be functional, but they're just there for aesthetics. But the one detail which is a little odd and I'm really not a fan of on this shoe is the split toe. I'm not exactly sure why they would do that. They've been doing that in some shoes recently and I'm just not a fan of it. It just reminds me a lot of toe socks and I hate the way toe socks feel, so I'm just not too excited for this sneaker for that reason. The cushioning technology does seem kind of cool though. It's a mix of ZoomX and another kind of foam, and I feel like because of that it will be relatively soft. I also actually like the shape of the silhouette from the side of the sneaker when you don't see that split toe. I feel like it's a very modern and sleek looking sneaker. And while a few months ago I would have said that these sneakers without a doubt would have sat on shelves, because we've had so many decent ISPA releases, I feel like there's still a lot of hype behind this brand, so for that reason I think both of these colorways might actually sell out. Next up, we've got two new colorways on a shoe that I'm very, very excited for, and that's the New Balance 992, which is coming in both a yellow and gray colorway, and then a blue, pink, and white colorway. The New Balance 992 is such a dope silhouette. It not only looks great, but it also feels incredible on your feet. And because of that, I think it's my favorite New Balance silhouette that they've ever made. And even when the shoe isn't a collaboration, I love the colorways that they put on the 992. They all just work so well. In fact, I really wanted the Castle Rock gray colorway, but I missed out, so I might actually have to pay resale for a pair of standard issue New Balances. New Balance is just the wave. If you don't know, now you know. The first colorway comes in tonal blues and pinks with this interesting blue and white striped panel around the ankle. This is probably the colorway that I'll go for because I just really like the way that the blues and pinks look together. But then there's the bright yellow and gray colorway, which I think also looks incredible and features a primarily yellow upper with some light hints of gray. I'm actually really into both colorways, but I know I would wear the blue and pink colorway a lot more, so like I said, that's the colorway that I'm going for. Even though I would assume that both of these colorways are GR releases, I think they will be somewhat limited when compared to other Nike releases, for example, and I think there's enough hype behind them to where people will actually buy them. So for that reason, I think these shoes are going to sell. Also releasing on September 1st, we've got the PSG Air Jordan 4s. From what I can tell, these aren't releasing in the US just yet. I think they might only release in Paris on the 1st, but I'm not exactly sure. This shoe is a 2020 collaboration between Jordan Brand and PSG, the football team, which is based in Paris. I'm sure you guys already know about them from last year's collaboration. But PSG collaboration or not, this colorway is fire. The white with the maroon is such a clean look, especially on a pair of Air Jordan 4s. To be real with you guys, I'm all in on this colorway. I think it's one of the best Air Jordan 4 colorways, period. And I'm not just saying that, I really think it's an incredible colorway. It definitely takes inspiration from classic Air Jordan 4s while incorporating some new colors and some gray suede around the toe, which makes it feel super premium. And they made the box maroon too, which I know isn't that big of a detail, but it's just such a nice touch. I hope these shoes drop in the United States and maybe they randomly shock dropped after you watch this video. I have no idea, but if they don't drop in the US, I'm probably going to have to pay resale, which, let's be honest, I would be happy to do because this shoe is fire. And yes, I definitely think this shoe is going to sell. After that, we've got the very highly anticipated Nike SB Dunk Low JPAC Chicago. From what I remember, this shoe was leaked a couple months back and people went crazy for it because it's a Nike SB Dunk Low, which is an incredibly popular silhouette, with the Chicago colorway, which is one of the most popular colorways. So you can bet that this shoe is going to be very difficult to grab. Now, unfortunately, like the PSG pair, I don't think this shoe is releasing in the United States just yet. I think it's only releasing in Europe and possibly Asia as of right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if this shoe releases in the next few weeks in the United States. This SB Dunk Low comes in a very clean white and red leather upper with a black Nike swoosh. And of course, because it's an SB, it's got that fat tongue and it's very comfortable on feet. This shoe is just like the perfect storm of hype. You've got an insanely hyped up colorway on an insanely hyped up silhouette. Hopefully the shoe drops in the United States soon, but wherever else it releases, it's gonna sell out instantly. And then rounding off September 1st, we've got the Adidas YEEZY 700 V3 Arzareth. So I actually just reviewed this shoe last week. In fact, I've got it behind me on the shelf, and I think it's a pretty great looking sneaker, especially since the colorway is so different. If you'd like to check out my review to learn more about this sneaker, make sure to click the link at the top of the screen. TLDR though, I think it's a great looking sneaker. I love the modern aesthetic. I think you do need to go up half a size or a whole size because it does fit very small, and the shoe doesn't have boost. So if you love boost, might not be for you. The Arzareth was originally supposed to release in the United States last week, but actually got pushed till September 1st. However, it's still released in Europe and Asia on the 29th. I do think that the Arzareth is going to be one of the most popular Yeezy colorways to release this year. And because of that, I think people are gunning for this shoe and it's definitely going to sell out. But moving on to September 2nd, we've got the Adidas Ultra Boost 1.0 Triple Black. This shoe, or an older version of this shoe, did release in 2016 and sold for insane amounts of money. But now, a few years later, it seems like Adidas is retroing the blacked out Ultra Boost 1.0, and while I still think it's a great sneaker, it looks great, it's definitely comfortable on feet, I just don't think the hype is there like it was back in 2016. That said, it is an LTD release, which means limited, which means there's not going to be that many pairs available. And because of that, I think hardcore Ultra Boost fans or people looking to replace their Triple Black Ultra Boost 1.0s will actually run out and try and grab this shoe. And hey, if you're looking for a very comfortable all black shoe, whether it's for work or just because you like all black shoes, this is actually a really great shoe to go for. But because of all those reasons, even though this shoe isn't in the limelight anymore, I still think there's going to be a lot of people who are interested in this shoe, so because of that, I can see this shoe selling out. Next up on September 3rd, we've got the Kyrie Low 3 in orange and blue. To me, this just looks like a standard Kyrie Low 3 with some random ancient symbols on it, and that's about it. I'm sure there's a story behind it, but for some reason I can't figure out what it is, so I don't really have anything else to say about this shoe. Well, I guess it's got an icy outsole, a white midsole, the upper is primarily orange, you got sort of like a light green Nike swoosh. That's about it. I don't think this shoe is going to be limited. I'm not personally going to be picking up this shoe, and I just don't think this shoe is going to sell out. Also releasing on the 3rd, we've got the Nike Blazer Mid 77 Hybrid. This Nike Blazer Mid comes in a blue and white tie-dye upper, which I actually think looks incredible. It's also accented by a bright red Nike swoosh. Based on the name Hybrid, I would assume that this shoe has something to do with Kyrie, especially since it's releasing on the same day as the Kyrie Low 3s, but I can't really find any information on this shoe as with the Kyrie Low 3s, so because of that, I have no idea. I think it's a dope looking sneaker, but the only place that I've seen it releasing is Foot Locker, and because of that, I would assume it's either a low-key release or it's a GR release that will eventually release other places. So because of that, I'm gonna give this shoe a sit. And then moving on to September 4th, we've got the Adidas Ultra Boost 1.0 NCAA College Pack. This pack includes 8 different colorways which represent 8 different schools, which I believe are all Adidas sponsored schools. I mean, it would make sense if that was the case. The shoes all come in primarily one color on the upper with that same color mimicked on the midsole, and of course they've got an accent color on the 3 stripes on the side and also throughout the shoe. My favorite colorway of the pack is the maroon pair because we don't get a lot of maroon Ultra Boosts, and while I'm not planning to pick it up because I don't really care about that school in particular, I think it's a good looking shoe and I think people at that school will be hyped on it. Because of the fact that this pack is based on different schools, I would assume that each colorway would release somewhat regionally. Of course, you've still got online releases, and I also would think that each colorway is going to be pretty limited. So because of that, I wouldn't be surprised if the entire pack sold out. Next up, we've got 2 different colorways of the Yeezy slides dropping. The 2 colorways include Core and Soot, both of which are not very creative names. If you're a fan of these bulky Yeezy slides and you missed out on any of the previous releases, this is a good release to go for because, let's be honest, the colorways look pretty similar to all the other colorways that have released in the past. As much as I love the Yeezy foam runners because of their insane looks and their insane comfort, the slides just don't look as good and they're not as comfortable, so they just don't do it for me. But at the end of the day, they are Yeezys, and because they're Yeezys, they're probably going to sell out. After that, we've got the Nike Air Foamposite 1 in black, white, and blue. This Foamposite comes primarily in black and blue with a white lightning bolt across the side. I gotta say, it's an interesting look, it's not for me, and it's not something that I'm gonna grab. And I also think people are kind of over Foamposites at this point. I feel like if they really want to push Foamposites again, maybe retro some of the really dope stuff that released like 5-10 years ago, but if they're not gonna do that, I just don't think the silhouette's gonna sell. And if the Foamposite silhouette isn't moving in general, I just don't think this colorway, which is one of the weaker Foamposite colorways, will sell either. So, obviously, I'm giving this shoe a sit. Next up, we've got the women's Nike Dunk Low Disrupt in both black and white and University Red. So this shoe is sort of a exaggerated take on the Nike Dunk Low silhouette. There are portions of the shoe that have been oversized and other portions which have been downsized, I guess, and it gives the shoe a very unique look. The shoe still definitely bears some resemblance to the Nike Dunk Low, but for true dunk heads, this is probably not it. However, if you are a guy and you do really like this shoe, unfortunately you're out of luck because it is only releasing in women's sizes. The two colorways that are dropping are the black and white colorway, which as the name would suggest is black and white, and also the University Red colorway, which is primarily white with a bright red swoosh on the lateral side. Both of these shoes are fine, but not really something that I would wear. So unless you guys really want me to review this shoe, I'm probably gonna let this shoe go. Seriously though, if you guys want me to review the shoe, let me know in the comment section down below. However, because these shoes are both part of the Dunk family and Dunks are insanely hot right now, I think both of these colorways are probably going to sell out. Following that up, we've got the Nike Air Force 1 Low in black tie-dye. To be honest, this is one of the wilder AF ones that I've seen in a long time. The shoe comes in what seems to be a white base with some sort of light pastel colored tie-dye underneath and then some really dark black tie-dye on top. It's honestly a pretty wild looking shoe, and I'm actually surprised they didn't release this shoe earlier on because I feel like this would be a great summer shoe. I was looking at the close-up pictures of this shoe on the Nike Sneakers app, and the leather quality looks really decent. It's all like tumbled and really nice looking. I feel like this is going to be a pretty popular sneaker. I also wouldn't be that surprised if the shoe was limited, and because of that, I think the shoe might sell out. And then rounding off September 4th, we've got a shoe that I think a lot of us have been looking forward to for a very long time, and that's the Air Jordan 1 Baroque Brown. You might be saying to yourself, I thought the shoe was the Tokyo Biohack, and it was at one point, but it seems like Nike has renamed the shoe the Baroque Brown, for whatever reason. This shoe is one of the wildest Air Jordan 1s to come out in a really long time, and I love it. I think it looks incredible. It definitely bears a striking resemblance to a pair of Dunk Highs that released a couple years ago, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's the inspiration behind this shoe, but it makes itself even more unique by adding some crazy colored paneling on the toe and on the heel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think there's 9 colors on this shoe. The midfoot to the back half of the shoe comes in a toned down dark navy, black, and brown, which is accented by a bright metallic silver on the Nike swoosh, a crazy lime green midsole, and then this insane citrus colored inside. The entire shoe is just so eye-catching, and that's what I love about it. It's so different. According to Nike's website, the colorway of the shoe is inspired by the rapid pace of life in Tokyo, and that would make sense because they were releasing a lot of Tokyo-themed sneakers for the Olympics, which obviously got pushed back. And you can definitely see that inspiration because if you've ever been to Tokyo, it's a pretty wild place with a lot of different colors and themes and just things that are just crazy, and I feel like this shoe sort of encapsulates that in a pretty decent way. So if you're trying to grab a pair of the Air Jordan 1 Baroque Browns or the Tokyo Biohacks, whatever you want to call them, it's not going to be that easy because a lot of people are hyped on them, and I definitely think they're going to sell out. Then moving on to September 5th, we've got the China exclusive Air Jordan 7 Greater China. On the lateral side of the sneaker, you have a pretty standard looking Air Jordan 7 with some hits of Chinese inspired reds and golds, but on the interior of the sneaker, or the medial side of the sneaker, you have these crazy patterns. I love these traditional Chinese patterns on the interior of the shoe. They come in blues and reds and golds, and they look incredible. The patterns are pretty much just contained to the midfoot panels on the medial side of the shoe, and I think it kind of makes this shoe special because it's almost like you get a surprise when you lift up your foot. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but you know what I'm getting at. Not only that, but the box that these shoes come in comes in lucky red with gold accents, and I think it looks great. This Chinese themed Air Jordan 7 looks really dope, and even though it was originally thought to be a China only release, it looks like we are getting a US release on the Sneakers app. Actually, when I was doing a little bit more reading on this shoe, apparently there's also a pattern on the lateral side as well, except it comes in tonal blacks and whites, so you can't really see it unless you really look at the shoe. But the final detail rounding off the shoe that I think a lot of people will like is the glow-in-the-dark outsole. I'm really into the Chinese theme on this sneaker, and I think a lot of other people are too, so because of that, I think this shoe will definitely sell out. Following that up, on September 10th, we've got the Nike Overreact Flyknit in Shadowberry. I believe that this is either the 3rd or 4th colorway of the Nike Overreact to release, and it's definitely one of the cleaner ones because it comes in primarily black and gray. Just like the previous Overreact sneakers, the upper of the shoe is made up of excess Flyknit from the Nike factories. The upper of the shoe is laceless and instead uses straps to secure your foot inside the shoe. But of course, the namesake of the sneaker is the Overreact midsole, which, as you probably guessed it, is filled with Nike React. Well, I guess I shouldn't say filled, it just is Nike React. It's this really thick Nike React midsole. While I haven't tried this sneaker for myself, I have heard that it is very comfortable, and I'm actually really into that sort of scavenged, futuristic look. And like the other ISPA Overreact releases this year, I think this shoe will definitely sell out. Also dropping on the 10th, we've got a shoe that I've been looking forward to for a very long time, and I've also covered in a couple different Weekly Heat videos, and that's the Nike Dunk Low Community Garden. So originally I thought this shoe had something to do with the Space Hippie pack because of its aesthetic, but I haven't seen any mention of this shoe having any recycled materials on their website, so I can only assume that it's actually not a recycled sneaker and just a brand new sneaker altogether. However, what's cool about this shoe is that they've actually randomized the patterns on the panels on the upper of this shoe. That means, in theory, no two shoes should be exactly the same. And I don't think they're actually changing up the colors of the upper, I just think that they're changing up the printed patterns on top of the panels. This Nike Dunk Low comes in this really cool sort of tonal maroon, blue, and white upper with some accents of like creamy yellow, and I think the overall aesthetic of the sneaker is dope, and it reminds me a lot of the Travis Scott Dunks. In fact, personally, I prefer this look to the Travis Scott Dunks. I would much rather wear these than those. I just love the cool cobbled together look of the shoe, and I think when it's paired with that color scheme, it looks incredible. And then rounding out the sneaker, you've got this speckled cream yellow outsole, which I think completes the look very nicely. Like I said about the other dunks in the video, dunks are just insanely popular right now, and no matter how the sneaker looks, it's gonna sell out. And when a Nike Dunk looks this good, I think it's a no-brainer, and I definitely think the Nike Dunk Low Community Gardens will sell out. Continuing on to September 11th, we've got a brand new silhouette with the Jordan Crater in University Red. Jordan Brand says that this shoe is made up of a total of 20% recycled content. According to them, the outsole of the shoe is made up of at least 13% recycled rubber, which they call Nike Grind, and the canvas portions of the upper are made up of 100% recycled polyester. I'm assuming that a majority of the rest of the sneaker is made up of newer materials, which obviously isn't that big of a deal, most shoes are. I think it's really cool that Jordan Brand is focusing on sustainability, and even though I don't love the way this sneaker looks, I'm attracted to it because of that. It's like when you like someone because of their personality and not because of the way that they look, I guess. The Jordan Crater comes in a tonal gray and black look, and I'm assuming the University Red naming is purely for the accent pieces like the Jumpman. Overall, it's a sneaker with a good personality, but that's about it. So because of that, I'm probably not going to pick this sneaker up, and I think this sneaker might actually sit. Then, rounding off the 11th, we've got the Air Jordan 1 Crater. This shoe is very similar to the Jordan Crater that we just talked about and focuses on sustainability rather than overall aesthetics. The Jordan 1 Crater comes in a primarily gray and black upper with a speckled midsole and black outsole, and again it uses the same sort of recycled materials. The upper features 100% recycled polyester as well as some other new synthetic leathers, and the outsole features some Nike Grind. Not only is this Jordan 1 made up of recycled materials, but it also features a full-length Zoom Air unit in the midsole, which apparently is very comfortable, but I still have yet to try one for myself. Around the top of the ankle, you've got some exposed foam, which reminds me a lot of the Air Jordan 1 Off-Whites, and then around the heel of the shoe, you've got some red accent stitching. I love the fact that my favorite silhouette of all time is getting a recycled makeover, and I think that's what makes this shoe so appealing. Aesthetically, I'm not in love with it. Again, I just don't feel like this color scheme is that exciting, but the story behind the shoe really makes me like it. Because Jordan Brand decided to use recycled materials on an already incredibly popular silhouette, I think a lot of people, including myself, will be going for this shoe, and I think this shoe will probably sell out. And then rounding off today's video, on September 12th, we've got the Air Jordan 5 Apple Green. This is obviously the GR version of the Oregon PE 5s, and I'm actually kind of into the fact that Nike is making these PE colorways more accessible because a lot of people love these colors but just couldn't grab them because the PE versions of these shoes were going for thousands of dollars. While this all-green Air Jordan 5 isn't really appealing for me, it's not something that I would wear every day, I still think it's a nice looking color on a pair of Jordan 5s, and I really love the yellow accents and the shark teeth. Obviously, the Apple Green Air Jordan 5s do not feature the Oregon Duck branding on the tongue or on the heel or anywhere on the shoe for that matter, but instead on the heel of the sneaker it features this black and red patch, which I'm not really a fan of. I think it's a nice looking 5, I like the nubuck that they used on this shoe, and I think a lot of people will be going for it because it looks just like the PEs, so because of that, I think this shoe is going to sell out. But with that, we pretty much wrap up the entire sit or sell video for today. Now, I would love to know your thoughts on this video and which shoes you're looking forward to most, so let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.